Hey everybody, this is the CKFC mandatory virtual captain's meeting. This is going to replace all others. This will be the general one. This is for both series, the Bass series and the multi-species series. It's required you watch this at least once throughout the year, and you come back and reference whatever you want, watch as many times as you want. This will be on the YouTube channel, also be on CKFC Facebook page. So this is going to be general. We're going to talk about all the general things. It's going to be in depth. And then for every tournament, we'll have a specific email that goes out to you via TourneyX. And then it'll also be on the Facebook page, things like launch times, unique things to that tournament, to each specific tournament. So this is a general one. So let's get started with this. First things first, the tournament requirements. In order to participate in the tournament, you have to be a CKFC paid member of the series you're participating. So if you're fishing a Bass Series tournament, you have to be a CKFC Bass member. That's a $20 membership for each series, so $40 total if you want to do both series. You can sign up for the membership if you're not a member already at cokayakfishing.com. I'll put a little, I'll put the link up there, not a link, but just the website up there. Anyways, the other thing you'll need too is once you become a member, you'll get an email. In that email, it'll provide you several things. The first thing it's going to provide you is the password to sign up for a tournament. It'll also provide you the password to get into our website area that is for all our sponsor discounts. So several sponsors offer us discounts, like Dakota Lithium gives us a 25% discount, which is huge, and several others as well. So I get you access in there in that email. So read that email. In there also, there's two things. It gives you a link to the website where we keep two different forms that are required of you. One is the CKFC waiver. That just keeps us from getting sued and stuff. So print that out, sign it, and then email it back to us. Again, the email address they need to send it to is on that same email. You can also digitally sign it on your phone and send it to us. We prefer it to be in a PDF, no Word docs or things like that could be edited easily. The other thing you're also going to have access to there or need to do prior to a tournament is the CKFC entry form, which is essentially emergency contact form. It's quick. It takes about a minute to do. It's online. You fill it out once for the year. You're done. Once for the year. It doesn't matter which series you're in. It's just once for the year. Again, these are both required before you could participate in a tournament. The things you'll need, three things you'll need while in a tournament. Obviously, you'll need a PFD, personal flotation device. You'll need to have that worn at all times. It has to be properly worn at all times while you're on the water. That means zippered, buckled, whatever that particular device is, it needs to be worn properly. It needs to be worn at 100% of the time other than changing layers. Like if you're getting too cold, you want to put a sweater on, or if you get too hot, you got to take a sweater off. Stop fishing, take that PFD off, remove your layer, put it right back on. If you're seen out there fishing with that PFD on, it's automatic DQ. So you have to wear that PFD 100% of the time. It's a safety thing for us, please. White light. You're supposed to have a 360 white light with you at all times. You only need to use it when obviously you can't see, it's too dark out. That's a requirement by the state. Both these are. A whistle. You have to make sure you have a whistle with you at all times. Please make it accessible. Don't put it in a pocket where you can't reach it fast. I put a little bungee. I have a tiny little bungee strap on my whistle. That if I go in the water, it's right here. I can blow it if I need it immediately. It's something you want on you 100% of the time with access to it very quickly. So a whistle is required as well. Lake regulations must be followed at all times. Okay, so if you're fishing at Spinney Reservoir, you have to adhere to their specific rules of their lake. That's for all lakes that we go to. The lake rules trump our rules, so make sure that you're following lake and state rules at all times. This one's bit us a few times. So a state park pass, if we're fishing at Chatfield or Pueblo and it's a state park, we do not provide state park pass for you daily or season. You need to provide that for yourself before you go fish that tournament. We did have that situation pop up at Trinidad by several people, not one or two. They were threatening to not allow us to have any more tournaments there because of that. So make sure you pay the lake fees, whatever they are. For example, this weekend we're fishing at Horsetooth. Horsetooth is not a state park, so make sure you buy a park pass for that tournament, for that lake, I'm sorry. So make sure you're covered there. Trailers are extra at Horsetooth, by the way. Okay, so what else? Let's get to tournament specifics. So start and end times. So we have three different words that we use. One is launch time, one is lines in, and one is lines out. What those mean are launch time is when you're able to get your kayak and actually start going to an area that you want to fish. No fishing is allowed during the launch time period. It just simply allows you to get in the water, go out to your spot. So when it's lines in time to start the tournament, you're already at your spot. You don't have to be portaging to a spot. So launch time is simply portage time to get to your area. Okay, so once we allow you to launch, you go. No fishing during that time. Lines in, that's the official start of the tournament. That's when you can actually start fishing. Okay, typically that's first light is what we try to do. So yeah, anyways, lines out. Lines out means that's the end of the tournament. Typically it's at 2 p.m. almost always. I will say this, okay, it's at 2 p.m. sharp, that is it, tournament is over. Okay, so pictures of any fish need to be taken before 2 p.m. That means you have until 1:59 with 59 seconds for that photo to have been taken. Okay, if it's at 2:00:00, that fish will not count. At our last tournament, I caught a fish with 50 seconds left in the tournament. It was 1:59 with like 10 seconds. So I barely got it in time. So just pay attention to that. Make sure your fish submissions or fish pictures are taken before 2 p.m. Submission deadline. So you have end of tournament, lines out, say it's 2 p.m. Okay. The submission deadline, we typically give you about 30 minutes after tournament's over. Typically, again, we'll give these details for every tournament, but typically it's 30 minutes. That means that you have to have submitted your pictures before the deadline. So if it's 2:30 submission deadline, all your fish pictures have to have been submitted via the TourneyX Pro app before that submission deadline. If it's 2:31 and its submission deadline is 2:30, that's it. Tournament's over. Submission deadline's over. Your fish will not count if it hasn't been submitted by that point in time. So make sure you give yourself enough time to get somewhere if a lake has bad data to get to an area to be able to submit your fish. Okay, what I do a lot of times in lakes that have bad signals is when I'm out there pre-fishing is I'll make waypoints on my fish finder when I have data. And that way I know I can go back to that spot to submit fish. But please take this into account. Okay, if you have you have to go to you have to get in your car and drive somewhere. Make sure you have enough time to go do that. Okay, if you run into any problems, you need to let us know. Okay, you need to get in contact with somebody from the board. But please do that prior to the submission deadline, and please give us ample time to help you out. Okay. Minimum size of a fish is 8 inches. The maximum size of a fish is 30 inches. Period. End of story. It's 30 inches. Okay. I know there's big pike. Every tournament that we have at Spinning 11 Mile, people tend to catch a fish bigger than 30 inches. Unfortunately, our smallest measuring device that we allow is 30 inches. So therefore, even if you have a board that's 32 inches, and we'll get to that in a second, and your fish is obviously bigger than 32 inches, or it's 32 inches, for example, all you're going to get credit for is 30 inches because somebody might have a 30-inch board that we allow. So that is the minimum, that's the maximum size fish that you allow. So if you have 40-inch fish, it doesn't matter. It's a 30-inch pike in our eyes, okay? So speaking of that, we do a big fish pot at every tournament. Part of your fee, $50 fee, $5 of that goes to the big fish. Winner gets the entire pot. So if we have two pike that are over 30 inches, say 2 people caught or 3, 4, doesn't matter, and say they caught, one caught a 30, it's exactly 30, another one caught a 40-inch pike, it looks like it's 40-inch pike, they're both 30-inch pike, okay? And what we do as a tiebreaker in that case is we go to your second biggest fish in your bag, okay? So let's say you have a 28-inch pike to go along with it, and the other guy has a 22-inch pike, the guy with 28-inch pike on top of his 30-inch pike wins the pot. So that's how we do tiebreakers. Okay, if you have 2 tied, your first 2 biggest fish are tied, we go 3rd, 4th, 5th, and then if all 5 are tied, we'll do a tiebreaker is just split the pot. Okay. Identifiers. The identifier code, it's a unique code we give you before each tournament. It'll be the night before the tournament. We'll release it between 7 and 8 p.m. via Facebook Live on the CKFC page. Also, it'll be available on the TourneyX app. Okay, so if you go into your TourneyX Pro app, you open it up, there's a place that says identifiers that'll show you the identifier code for that tournament the next day. Okay, make sure you keep extra. So what I do here is, if I can pull one out here, is I have these homemade identifier holders that I've been using. They're waterproof. always keep a spare one with me on my person. Okay, and I keep the identifier paper. You could write on anything. It could be a piece of paper, like this one. It could be the KBF identifier, like this one. It could be anything. I have this one that I just got. The code's right here. So that's the code you'll get. Okay, if you have none of those, or you lose one, make sure you have a Sharpie with you at all times as well. I've saved a couple of people during tournaments where they lost their identifier, and I had a Sharpie with me, and I had an extra one. I gave it to them during the tournament. So make sure you have extra one of these and extra Sharpie with you at all times, or a Sharpie with you at all times. So worst case scenario, you can write on your hand. We do allow that. You can write the identifier code on your hand. It just has to be in the picture, and we'll get to that here in a little bit as well. Placement of the identifier. So here's where somebody got their fish DQ'd this last tournament. So a person caught a 30-inch pike this last tournament. Okay, it was 29-inch pike to be exact. Okay, so his fish, say this is my little fish here. His fish was, say this is a 30-inch fish. Doesn't matter if it's a 10-inch fish, but whatever. He didn't have room on his hog trough, his measuring device, because it went all the way to the end. Okay, to use the identifier, he laid it on the fish and took the picture. That's not allowed. That's a DQ of that fish. Okay, so what you have to do in that case is just simply take it off and put it on the kayak, next to the measuring device, but still in the picture somehow. It just cannot be on top of the fish. It cannot be covering the fish in any way whatsoever. The only thing that's allowed to cover the fish is your hand, okay? And you cannot cover its eyeball. It cannot be in a gill plate. It cannot be holding a lip. You can just simply be holding it, okay? Just don't cover the eyeball. The reason we don't allow you to put an identifier on the fish is because we look for certain things that's not duplicate fish, that's not the same fish, especially with things like smallmouth, who look very identical, very similar, pike as well. Tails especially have very unique identifiers on them. So we'll look at each fish and we'll compare them. We really do this, okay? So if your identifier is covering the fish, your hand's covering it, you're covering most of the fish. We don't have a lot to go off of to try to distinguish different fish. So we ask that you don't do that, okay? Otherwise that fish will be DQ'd. That did happen in our last tournament, so make sure of that, please. Where are we at here? Okay. Measuring board requirements. So currently we allow 4 different measuring boards. Okay, they're very specific measuring boards. You can't just go buy whatever measuring board you want. We have 4 different ones. Okay, the first one is the oldest one that we used back in the day. We still use it today. It's called the hog trough. Okay, this is a hog trough. They come in this yellow color, chartreuse yellow, whatever color you want to call it, and white. Those are the 2 colors I've seen them in. Okay, there's different brands that make it. You get them at Shields. You get them at Discount Online. You can get them at Cabela's. There's lots of places you get them to. Shields has them though, so go there, grab them there. Waterline I think has some as well. So go grab those. Okay, this is what this is the original hog trough. Okay, so this is what we use. Okay, the problem with the hog trough though is these lines aren't colored in. They're just same color as the board. So when you have a fish on here, it's very hard to tell where that fish crosses a 1/4 inch line. So we ask that you go through, and it's a pain in the butt. You can see all the little mess ups on this board here. You get a Sharpie and you have to go line by line by line and start and darken them in. It's a real pain in the butt. And they get washed off over the course of a season. You got to redo it again, okay? So I don't like these boards for that reason. Also, these boards, they flex really bad. They break very easily. Extremely easy, just transporting them to break, okay? Don't recommend this board. If you have it, great, you can use it. But I strongly recommend you upgrade this board, okay? So that's the first board. Second board is a catch carbonate board, okay? This is the catch carbonate board. This is the other one of the other ones we allow, okay? This is a 26-inch version, and they also have a 32-inch version, okay? I use a 32-inch for multi-species because getting to pike they're 30 inches or more. So I use a 32-inch for multi-species, and I use the 26-inch for bass series, okay? So that's the Catch carbonate board. Also, this is a Catch. The Catch makes one like this. This is a homemade one that I made. Catch makes one of these. This is a Blue Fox tin tag. Awesome. You can go like this. You don't have to worry about the identifier being on the fish or worrying about the identifier with glare because it's a matte finish versus these guys that are plastic finish. You don't have problems with glare with it. They work awesome. Highly recommend them. Okay. The other thing we do too is on the hog troughs and these catch boards, we make a black line right here, so when the fish is up against it, you can clearly tell that the fish is touching the fence. Okay, and I'll get to that in a second as well. But that's the catch carbonate board. I use this to attach it to my kayak, and yeah, it won't sink, or I won't lose it. Okay, so those are the two that we allow. We got two more. Again, another catch product. This is the catch original. This is the catch board, the original catch board. This thing weighs 1,000 pounds. It's super heavy. I don't use it anymore. I don't like it. I use the catch carbon. I love those a lot. If you get any of these metal ones or aluminum ones, make sure you don't get black. Okay, black and gray like this one. As you can tell, it's very hard to see these quarter-inch lines. It's really bad with the darker colors, especially the blacks and the grays. So strongly don't recommend. I don't use this board for that reason, because I've had fish that just you cannot tell where it's crossing that line. So don't get the gray or black. They look great, but really they're not very good. Get the brighter colors. The reds are great. The orange is phenomenal. The green's really awesome. The blue looks pretty good too. Anyways, the last one I don't have, it's another catch board. It's the Catch X board is what it's called. It's aluminum board. It's lighter than the original catch board. So those are the four that we allow. It has to be one of those four boards. Okay, there's no other options. It has to be one of those four. If you don't have one of those four boards, you can reach out to one of the board members. We have spares that you can borrow. Okay, we have some that are available. We'll bring a few with us for the tournament, but please let us know ahead of time so we can bring one for you. We do have some you can borrow if you need one. Okay. What else here? All right, let's go into it. So multi-species versus bass rule differences in tournaments. Okay, so go out there, read the rules. Make sure you understand all the rules. It's on the website. Make sure you fully understand all the rules. Okay, that's on you to know them. So don't be complaining to us if you say you didn't know something, or you didn't read something, or you misunderstood something. You need to reach out to us and let us know beforehand. Okay. So let's get multi-species tournaments versus bass tournaments. So multi-species. In both series, let me start there. In both series, we do not allow any trolling motors in any of our tournaments. You cannot use an electric or gas trolling motor in our tournaments. That is not allowed. If you are a handicap, you can apply. You can ask the board for a waiver, and we'll allow you to fish our tournaments with a motor if you're handicapped. Okay, but you need to reach out to us before the tournament that we approve you for use of that trolling motor. Okay. So multi-species tournaments, you are allowed to troll, but that is using your pedals or paddles only. Okay, again, no trolling motors. You are allowed to troll during a multi-species tournament. You are allowed to use two rods at once. Okay, you have to have a second rod stamp, obviously, but you can use two rods at once. You could troll with two of them. You can throw a slip bobber out with one while you're throwing a jerk bait on another. You can use two rods at once. Okay, for the multi-species. You are allowed to use live bait for the multi-species tournament, as long as that specific lake allows it. Again, Spinney does not allow you to use live bait. It does not allow you to use any salt or scent of any kind. You can't put it on. You can't have a plastic at Spinney that has salt impregnated in it or scent impregnated in it or on it. So just know the lake rules again, okay? But you are allowed to use live bait during most of our tournaments for multi-species. The fish's mouth, it can be open for multi-species. We have fish like pike that have teeth, and you want to get them out of the kayak as soon as possible. You don't want to put your fingers anywhere near their mouth. So we do allow the mouth to be open, touching into the fence, and we'll get to that in a minute as well. Mouth can be open during in a multi-species tournament. Okay, so bass rules. The differences again. Okay, so in the bass series, the bass only series, we allow black bass only. Okay, so what is a black bass? A black bass in Colorado is a largemouth bass, a smallmouth bass, and a spotted bass. Those are the only three type of bass we allow during our bass only series. Okay, so white bass, wipers, stripers, none of those classifies bass, okay, as black bass. So again, largemouth, smallmouth, spotted bass only. We do not allow you to troll during bass series tournaments. Okay, you cannot troll. What you can do, define trolling. Let me define trolling real quick. You cannot manipulate your lure or bait in any way using your pedals or paddles. Okay, so you can't be pedaling and pulling your lure and moving your lure. Okay, that's considered trolling. Okay, what you can do though is called strolling. Strolling is using the wind. Okay, so if the wind's blowing really hard, you can allow that wind to push you, and you can drag that bait along, as long as you're not using your pedals or your paddles to manipulate the bait. But the wind's pushing you, you can do that. You can go pedal to a spot, cast, and let's let that wind drag you if you want to. Okay, that's called strolling. There's also a thing called long lining, where you go out to the spot, cast, pedal backwards, release your bail, get to where you want, close the bail, and then reel it in. Okay, that's called long lining. That is allowed as well. Only one rod is allowed during the Bass Series tournaments at one time, so you can only have one line touching the water. You can only use one rod at a time. That's pretty simple, right? You can't have two lines at once, okay? The fish's mouth must be 100% closed during a bass-only series, okay? That allows for consistency of fish, because when a fish's mouth is open, it actually adds about ½ inch, potentially, to the fish. So in order to create consistency, we make sure that the mouth is 100% closed, okay? 100% closed. You got to make sure of that. Okay, I say this is what I'm going to say, this is the gotcha here, okay? If it's barely open, within a ½ inch of being open, and this is, we will allow them without a penalty. If it's within a ½ inch, but that's at the discretion of the judge. This is not up for debate. You're not going to come to me later and say it's less than ½ inch, or you're not going to come back and say that guy's fish is more than a ½ inch. That's up to us to determine, okay? Unfortunately, that's the call we have to make. We don't like having to make these calls, so don't put it in the judge's hands. Just make sure that mouth is closed, okay? Otherwise, we will deduct an inch if it's more than a ½ inch open. Don't leave it in the judge's hands, please, okay? Let's get to the app. The app we use is called TourneyX Pro, okay? You go online, Google Store, Apple Store, whatever. Download that app. It's the TourneyX Pro app. Create an account. You can use the free account. You don't have to pay the subscription to TourneyX. You can if you want. It gives you things like stats and stuff if you want to do that. But no need to do that. You get the free TourneyX Pro membership, TourneyX membership. So create that account. Make sure your email, when you create that account, is a good email. Same thing with the phone number. You have a good phone number in there, and you have a good email in there, because that's what you use to contact you, to let you know you have a fish issue, like you'll get a fish denied. It tells you your fish were accepted, things like that. So make sure that email is accurate, please. The next big one, this is a big one that costs people at the last tournament as well, and it happens every tournament, it seems like, is location and geotagging. Make sure that location is turned on. So when you open the TourneyX app or load it, it asks you to turn on the TourneyX to allow location or geotagging to be turned on. You have to hit yes to that. So in the app, TourneyX Pro app, you have to have geotagging or location, both the same thing, turned on. Okay. The other thing too, this is what gets people, is they use their phone app to take the pictures. Okay, the phone camera app. That's what I do as well. In the phone camera app, you need to go in there, go to settings, and turn on location or geotagging, whichever way it says it, okay? Make sure it's turned on. And the way you test that is you take a random picture or something, go to that picture, look at the details or more, or whatever, however you look at more details. Click on the details and look for it. It'll tell you your location. It'll say Castle Rock. It'll say whatever lake you're at. It'll give you a little map sometimes and show you the location of where that picture was taken. We need that to verify you're at the lake you say you're at. So if we're fishing 11 Mile and Spinney, and we're fishing, let's say, 11 Mile tournament, but Spinney's right next door, the only way we can tell you're not fishing at Spinney and catching bigger quality fish is using that feature. So it has to be turned on. If that is not turned on, your fish will be DQ'd. Okay, that's not for debate again, okay? You've been told. Please turn that app on. If you're worried about leaving it on at all times, during tournaments, turn it on. When tournament's over, turn it off. Okay, that's your discretion to do that, obviously, but it has to be turned on for our tournaments, okay? Check-in. So on that app, there's a check-in button and a check-out button. Now, before a tournament starts, hit that check-in button. That tells us you're getting on the water. When the tournament ends and you're getting off the water, if you leave early, whatever it is, hit that checkout button. If you don't hit that checkout button, we don't know you got off the water safely. It's up to us as tournament directors and the boards at CKFC to make sure everybody gets off that water safely. It's extremely important that we verify that. Otherwise, I'm going to be calling you. I'm going to call you emergency contact. I don't want to have to be reaching out to people, so please check out. Okay. If you have to set up a reminder, set up an alarm, that's what I do, to remind me to check out. Do that. Before the tournament starts, night before, whatever it is, set it to 2:30 so you check out, or 2 o'clock, check out, okay? So please use that feature for us. Again, it tells you safely off the water. Submission deadline, I think I already covered that. I did. If you have any issues for submitting fish, please contact the TDs or any CKFC members before the submission deadline. We ask you to do it as early as possible. I think I already said that before. Don't wait till last minute to contact us. If you can't, for whatever reason, you have no data, contact us. Again, give us time. Worst case scenario, we'll figure something out. Okay, we may have to ask you to meet us somewhere, and we'll manually look at the pictures. We don't like doing that because it creates a lot of delays for us, and the award ceremony becomes a problem then. So yeah, okay. Reach out to us. Some people like to sandbag and they wait till the end of the tournament to submit their fish. I ask you don't do this, okay? Because we've had problems with people submitting fish, it gets denied, and then they don't have time to resubmit it, or other things pop up. They caught another fish and they could have submitted that other fish, but they didn't. Submit them as early as possible, so that way any issues that arise, we can take care of it before you're off the water and you get a chance to still compete. Check your emails. So AttorneyX will send you an email if you get a deduction or a penalty. Unfortunately, our judging is by us, and when we get a chance, we'll judge them sometimes later in the day. So catch as many fish as you can, take as many pictures as you can. So if you get a fish denied or deduction, you can submit another fish. Or take lots of pictures of the same fish. I always take a set of about 5 or 6 different pictures of the fish. I put the fish in the net, put them in the water. I look at the picture. I verify everything before I release that fish. So I know that picture is good. Okay. Otherwise, it could be DQ'd for all kinds of different reasons. It could be penalized for different reasons. So I take 5 or 6 different pictures of each fish, and then I release the fish. Don't delete your pictures either after the tournament's over. Give us until the tournament has officially been judged. It usually takes us a few days to go through that because we look at for duplicate fish. We look for all kinds of different things. Don't delete your pictures, please. Keep your fish pictures until the tournament is officially ended and we've officially released the results. Okay. It happened in our last tournament also. Check your live well. Sometimes your fish will be uploaded to your live well in the AttorneyX Pro app versus going to the leaderboard. It has to be the leaderboard for it to count, but sometimes it go to your live well. So check live well and make sure your fish didn't go there. Make sure everything's submitted properly to leaderboard. If you have any questions about the app and how it works, go to the AttorneyX YouTube channel. They have tons of content on there to show you how to use the app and everything else. Okay, so go there. Again, it's up to angler's responsibility to make sure each photo is acceptable and appropriate, and everything's good on it. Okay, it's up to you. Don't leave it in the judge's hands. It's up to you to make sure everything is good. Okay, let's go over the photo submission rules. Okay, so you must have the entire fish in the picture. Okay, that's one of the requirements we're looking for photo submission. The entire fish has to be in the picture. Mouth must be touching the fence. Okay, mouth must be touching the fence. For bass series, completely closed. For multi-species, it can be open. Okay, but it has to be touching the fence. What is the fence? It's the end of the hog trough. It's this piece right here that sticks up. Okay, so that fish must be absolutely touching that fence in order for that fish to count. Okay. You can't have fish grips on here. You cannot have hooks. You cannot have anything in the mouth. Not a finger. Nothing can be obstructing the mouth while touching that on the board. While touching the fence. Okay, so make sure nothing's in the mouth. Head must be to the left of the angler when you're taking a picture. Belly facing you. So in this case, here's the fish. It's facing me. Okay, so it's on the hog trough. It's facing me. Okay, I'm taking the picture. The back is away from me, belly's towards me, okay? That's for us for consistency to be able to look at things easier for us to judge. Identifier must be in the picture. The correct code must be in the picture. So in this case, I have these 2 different identifiers. See the glare? I don't know if you can see the glare on this. That's the problem with these guys, is the glare's bad. So like in this one, I have this is the KBF identifier. There's 4 or 5 different boxes, and I put the same code in all of them. That way, if the glare's blocking one of them, I might be able to get it with a clear picture of the other ones. We have to be able to see and make out that code. It has to be clear to us to be able to see that code. Otherwise, we can't count it. Okay. So make sure the identifier is completely in the picture as well, and we can see that code clearly. Okay. The tail. You are allowed to pinch the tail. Okay, the tail, you can pinch it. When it's on the board, you can pinch it. You can move it. You can manipulate the tail however you need to manipulate it to get those many inches as you could possibly get. We measure by 1/4 inch, okay? So move that tail as much as you can to touch. It has to be touching a line, okay? That tail has to physically be touching one of these lines, okay? One of the 1/4 inch lines. If that tail, for example, is up here where there's no lines and extends past the 14 or whatever it is mark, but it's up here and it's not touching a line, I can only give you wherever it's physically touching a line, back here, let's say. Okay, so you're going to lose a little bit. So make sure you move that tail down to where these lines are, and then you're physically touching a line. Something in the middle here. You want to move it so that you're touching a line, not over the 18. You want to be touching a line. Okay, so make sure that's what we look for. It has to be physically touching a line. That cost somebody second place earlier this year because it was not. But it's obviously a bigger fish, but I can't make an imaginary line that goes all the way up. Even though it's clear, we just have to make sure it's touching the line, okay? We can't make any guesses with that. Make sure your photo's clear and easy to judge. I already said that, but I stress that because every tournament that happens. Again, geotagging the location must be turned on. I'm reiterating this because this has happened to people and they get their fish DQ'd and then they're mad at us. Please, please, please make sure these things are good, are done. Okay, this is anyways. All right, cannot submit the same fish twice. If you catch it, even if you let them go and you catch the same fish again, you cannot submit the same fish twice. Okay, we do look for this stuff. Okay, you can only use the same fish once during a tournament. Now, if we have back-to-back tournaments, we have multi-species or bass one day, multi-species the next. You catch a bass during the multi-species, you release it. The next day you go to the same spot, you catch the same fish for the different tournament. That is allowed. Okay, it's a different tournament, so it's allowed. But only one time during a tournament you're allowed to submit the same fish. A little one here, a little gotcha sometimes, okay? We look, obviously the fish is laying belly towards you, so we're going to look at the left side of the fish. Sometimes that fish is missing an eyeball. Or that fish has got a really cloudy eye. It's about to lose an eye or something like that. The only way we can tell that fish is alive is to look at that eyeball. That's what we look at. That's one of the things we look at least, all right? So if that fish is missing an eyeball, it's really cloudy, what we ask you to do is take a picture like you normally would, everything applies. Then turn on your video with the fish still on the board, videoing the fish, grab the fish, with you videotaping him, put him in the water, and let him swim away. If we see him swim away, we know that fish is alive and it's good, okay? You just find him floating around, okay? All right, I think that's all I have. Prizes, let me talk about prizes real quick. So we pay out first, second, and third in cash, sometimes cash and prizes. 4th through 10th place, they win a prize, as long as we have enough prizes to give out at that tournament, which we always do. So 4th through 10 will win a prize as well. And then we have random giveaways. That's the beautiful part of this. We have great, great, great sponsors. They give us a ton of stuff. At every tournament, the award ceremony, we ask that you do show up. It's a fun time. You get to talk to people. You get to hear how the winners caught their fish. The top 5 go up there and talk about how they caught their fish. And then we do random giveaways. Random giveaways are big things. We've given away things like Dakota lithium batteries. We've given a fish finder away one time. We give some good stuff away sometimes. And yeah, a lot of times it's $25 worth of value. Sometimes it's $50 worth of value. And they're random. They're completely random giveaways. I don't care if you didn't catch a fish. You're eligible to win a random giveaway. So please show up for the award ceremony. It's a good time. You must be present to win those random giveaways, by the way. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys supporting the club. If you have any questions, please read the rules. Reach out to us if you have any questions. And don't ever hesitate to reach out to me personally. You can message me on Facebook. I'll respond. I promise. It's pretty fast too. You can also contact us via the webpage. There's a contact us place on there as well. Or reach out to us on Facebook. Again, please reach out if you have any questions. No question is dumb. If you have any issues or anything, please reach out to us. Thank you again. Sorry that I ramble on too long. I always do. Thanks again. Appreciate you guys. Have a good night.